Hey race fans, it's Ralph Sheheen, and like you, I have a huge passion for racing. With the most in-depth features on racers, series, and events, no one covers racing better than America's original motorsports publication, Speed Sport. Get your subscription to Speed Sport magazine today at speedsport.com.
So, gosh, I've been nervous about this interview all week because you're the first guy we've done in 3 years that we didn't already hang out with. I mean, kind of hung out with you, but not a whole lot. And then I do research on you, and there's a lot of stuff. You're really good at what you do, and that's telling the story of other people. But there's not a lot of who Ralph Sheheen is, and I was like, dang it, because I had to listen to 3 or 4 podcasts before I really got decent stuff. So that's why I want to have you on today. I was like, we got to figure this guy out. So
cool.
But yeah, thanks for coming in, man. That's awesome.
Oh, this is fantastic. I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, you're all over the place. Supercross season, obviously. Yep. That's all people ever want to talk to you about. Every podcast I had, you're just talking about Supercross, and I was like, well, there's obviously more.
There's a little more.
Yeah, not bad.
But obviously Supercross is a large part of who and what I am these days. What is this, year 13? I think it is 13 straight. But what's really funny about that is I did my first Supercross in 1989.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So, I've been around Supercross for a long time. Basically every year since 89, I would do, 1 or 2 races or a handful of races depending on which network I was on and what their package was. But it wasn't until we started Supercross at Speed Channel 13 years ago that they had their whole season going in a regular routine like that every week, going live and all that sort of stuff. Because for years they were always tape delayed and, all this sort of stuff. But then it went, Speed Channel to Fox, and CBS was in there, and now here we are at NBC, and I got to keep going.
So you've worked for almost every network.
You've literally every network, but ABC.
Yeah, and then you've covered...
And some that are no longer on the air.
You've covered every type of racing, too. That's what impresses me when I look through all your stuff.
Everything from swamp buggies to Formula One.
Yeah, how do you even...
I remember watching the swamp buggies on Speed Channel.
I can't even wrap my head around. I can barely keep up with NASCAR alone. I don't know how you.
Well, so here's the thing. It's something I'm really passionate about, right? It's like you're passionate about your artwork. If you're passionate about something, it's easy to maintain the information. You're anxious to do the homework because it's not homework. You're just doing it because you enjoy it, right? I would spend as much time doing whatever homework I do now just because I just love it. I want to know what's going on in, dirt late models or super stock motorcycle road racing just because I have an interest in all that stuff. I'm just able to retain it easier because I have the passion for the knowledge. If I had to know this much about landscaping, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
But a guy who's really into landscaping can do it without any problem.
No problem.
Yeah. So I'm just lucky that way.
Man, I think about the landscape, like you said when you started in the 80s. And right, is that when you...
Yeah, I did my first race on national TV in 1988. It was the IMSA season finale from Del Mar, California. I did it live on ESPN, and I lied my way into the gig. Now, prior to that, I had been, PA announcing and everything around Northern California at every racetrack I get my hands on since about 85. So I had about 3-4 years of PA stuff before I got on TV.
I think about how nowadays, we can pick up our phone and see what happened everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And I went to Speed Sport yesterday looking at and it had the Bloomquist deal, it had World Outlaws, it had every type of racing right there on the front page, and I'm like, man, it's so crazy how much you have your hands in to keep it all separated. But then nowadays, how much easier it is to keep up with what's going on in the world. Because back then, the legwork to do, back in the 80s or the 90s before social media, the legwork to figure out what was going on was all pen and paper. Was like,
yeah,
how much easier is it to keep up with current events and things that are going on, and say personal lives, driver lives, and to talk about when you're on the air.
Yeah, so that part of it is a lot easier. It's much easier to find out what's going on now because of things like social media, because everybody's on it. So, well, for example, Martin Davalos, who is one of the 250 East riders in Supercross, put on social media just the other day he's expecting a baby later this year. Well, there it is. Didn't even have to ask him. Well, information is right there.
Easy story.
Easy access.
Yeah.
What's more difficult, however, is all the social media stuff I now have to do because people expect it from everybody. They want your information too. So now I'm constantly having to do things like Twitter and Instagram and Facebook about what I'm doing and what we're doing with Speed Sport and everything else. So it's become easier, but it's added work as well. Now it's fun to do, but it is time consuming because you have to think about it. Oh, I haven't posted too much today. I gotta put a couple things out there.
That's the worst. There's just so much stuff out there, and if you don't constantly post, like, it just gets lost now.
It gets lost, and you get lost. So it forces you to step your game up too. But the research side of it is a lot easier.
Yeah, just because you have so many people out there
Absolutely
reporting on everything.
They're doing it for you. Now you don't break stories anymore.
That's what I was going to say. It's a gift and a curse, especially from the speed sport side, because where you would, when I was younger, get the area auto or wait for Speed Sport to come in to see what was going on nationally or in your area. Now it's right in front of you all the time. So you have to, and you found a way to stay relevant and move and shake.
So what we do is we still focus on the journalism side. Something happens out there and it breaks on social media, good, bad, or indifferent, whatever the story might be. Somebody gets hired, somebody gets fired, somebody crashes. They know what happened, but they want to know why it happened, what's the backstory to what happened. Then they come to us, they hit our website, and that's where they get the full story. Because you can't get the story in 140 characters.
Yeah.
You can just find out what happened, right?
Yeah.
Then they rely on us. They rely on us to tell them the real story of what went down.
Yeah, and you guys, like I was telling you before we got on air here with watching Oswego the other day, and the cool events, how many crown jewel events there are, different corners of the country, different racetracks that you don't get to hear of, but you guys bring that to light, especially with the MAV TV deal and all that.
Yeah.
How great that has been for letting short tracks shine, and then you guys giving people like Otto Sitterly that people might never heard of a platform where you can see this guy and what he's able to do up there.
Yeah. When we kind of focus on with our Speed Sports series on MAV TV, which is every Thursday night, prime time, 7 and 10 o'clock Eastern, so it's prime time East and West. We focus on upper second-tier level motorsports. So these are drivers tracks forms of racing but there's no race fees involved, right? So I'm not dealing with NASCAR, IndyCar, NHRA, or something like that. But we're at places like Oswego, the Little 500 in Anderson, the biggest outlaw kart race in the country out in Red Bluff, California. We do the Dirt Car Nationals from Volusia. We just did all of those. These are really big events that have national recognition to them. And for the fourth year now, we put the Dirt Car Nationals on national TV. It's a huge deal. The Red Bluff Outlaw Kart Race had never been on TV, but we do that. That's where guys like Larson came out of. They've raced at events like that.
That stuff keeps growing and growing.
Oh, yeah.
Too.
Super Dirt Week in Oswego is
one
of the biggest races in the country, and we put that on.
And it makes such a difference from the short track level. I mean, you could see it directly when something gets a good TV contract in the boost in car count. And I think one of the biggest things around here that you can see is when the summer shootout had a TV contract and when it lost it. It was the most successful short track series for almost a decade.
Yeah, and I was on the first version of that when it used to be on what was then Fox Sports South way back when. And we did that. Doug Rice and myself and Mark Garrow worked on those. And, it was really crazy. I mean, we had guys like Dale Earnhardt Jr. came through there. Old Slice Bread, who's now the Cup champ, came through there. That's where we first became aware of Joey Logano, was right there on that series. A lot of guys showed up for the first time racing Legends cars on that deal.
You look at some of the breakdowns from the Bandoleros, the results from Bandoleros and Legend cars and stuff, and it looks like almost a list of what a Cup rundown is nowadays. Yeah. So that was the place to be. And, Red Bluff is getting that recognition.
Sure is.
And the guys in the Northeast tend to stay in the Northeast more when you get to to the bigger races like the little 500 with Bobby Santos and those guys
Yep.
who are just extraordinary race car drivers, but don't get the national recognition because there's no TV deal. And it's
Right,
just
and then we
awesome.
take that and we don't just put it on the air. We make a 2-hour special
Yes.
out of the little 500. We do 2 hours for Super Dirt Week with the big block main event and put that on Thanksgiving night. So I mean, it's a huge opportunity for those drivers and those teams to get national exposure.
Yeah, and you just don't talk about the racing. You get in depth. I mean, I learned so much about people that I didn't know watching the Classic this past week about just everybody that was in the field. How you get in depth on where their career's been, where it's going.
Yeah, one of the things I think Speed Sport has always done well. We've been around for 85 years.
I
We've
didn't
had
know
a little
that, by the
practice
way.
at this.
I looked on there and I was like 1930. What,
Four,
oh
1934
My gosh.
is when it started. It started as a weekly newspaper. It was actually an insert to the sports section of the local newspaper. And then it grew into its own as a fold and a half, black and white, weekly. And then from there, it just grew nationally to what it became. Then Chris Economaki started out actually selling the paper as a kid in the grandstands at the local races.
Dang, I didn't
then
know that.
writing for it, then owning it. Chris and I became friends and colleagues and worked together. He was actually my colleague on pit road in that very first TV show I ever did. So there's all these, weird things there. Then I actually wrote for the paper, all this kind of different stuff. Now here I own it. So one of the things I think Speed Sport does really well is we tell stories. And that's a lost art. The guy who is our producer on our TV side used to be the producer for Dave Despain's Wind Tunnel Show, worked with me in Speed Channel, excellent producer, really knows his stuff, and it's that kind of grouping that comes together that finds its way to producing good stuff, and I think that's what we do different than everybody else. We tell stories.
Did you have a background in journalism, like growing up?
I
or
went to
did you-
Chico State in California, and I got a double major in broadcasting and public relations.
So you didn't just walk on, like,
No,
this is
no, but
thought out.
It was thought out, but really the reason, and look, college educations are great for a lot of reasons. And for me, what it did is they teach you how to do this stuff, but really it's that baptism by fire. That's where you become good at it. You got to just get in there and start swimming, doing live TV, having to tell a story, having to deal with all the stuff that happens. That's the real education.
I think it's anything in racing.
Anything.
You just got to be there.
That's
and do
right.
It.
But what college did was it allowed me to get internships and stuff like that, which began that live education. And that was the most valuable.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Easy enough.
Yeah, that was good.
So we know everything that you do. I mean, if you turn on a race, you're going to hear your voice. I
hope
think
so.
I think 60 60 to 80% of the time, and there's a lot of challenges that come along with that. But what does a guy like you do in your free time? I know that we've seen. We were looking up things on you, like and you pictures with Alice Cooper pop up a lot of.
Yeah.
Greg was a musician.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
and a
Yeah,
roadie.
definitely. We probably wouldn't go to the same concerts, but well, yeah.
Well, it's the area you grew up in, right?
Yeah, that's very true too.
So, I mean, 70s, 80s, classic rock, hard rock, heavy metal, that's the genre of music I'm drawn to the most. So all those bands, I'm huge fans of.
Yeah.
So fortunately for me, what's been really cool is those guys all liked fast cars and fast motorcycles and became fans of racing. So through racing and my passion of music, I've gotten a chance to meet a bunch of these people, which has opened up the doors, right? You meet this guy, introduces you to that guy. So Rachel Boland from Skid Row became a good buddy. That's how I got to meet Alice, and all that kind of stuff. And then you spin it back around. So like Rachel's a big fan of racing. You take him to an event, introduce him to somebody, and it just keeps
They love
spinning forward. And everybody's, I don't want to say scratching each other's back, but what you're really doing is you appreciate the passion the other guy has for what you do and vice versa, right? So you take them into your world and they repay the favor by taking you into theirs because they know you're going to enjoy it. It's not that they feel like they have to. They kind of want to show it to you.
Yeah.
Networking at its
Yeah.
finest.
Well, they're fully submersed in their world, and
Yeah.
we're the same in ours.
Right.
There's, outside of racing, there's nothing to us, basically.
Yeah,
so.
but and sometimes we're so, with the blinders on doing your deal that you don't really realize how much this guy over here might be wowed by this little thing you see every day.
Yeah.
And for them, it's the same thing. you get to go backstage and you're like, whoa, look at this. And then you also look around and you go, it's a very similar world.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
circus, different clowns.
Yep.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right? Especially like with Supercross. In a lot of ways, we are a rock tour, moving city to city, playing all these big stadiums, and the way Feld puts on the show, they are outstanding at putting on a show. And I say it all the time. Our opening ceremonies, it's a Kiss concert.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
The
yeah.
pyro and the lasers and
I wish
all
we had
that.
that in NASCAR every week.
Sets the
Yeah,
bar.
it's
It sets
great.
the bar
and
right
that's
now.
Feld.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people thought when Monster was coming over to NASCAR, they were going to get the same thing. And I was telling them, it's not Monster that does that.
No.
Monster does a lot of really good stuff, but all of that, that's Feld.
Feld. Yep.
That's what they do, and they do it really well.
Yep. I can see that.
Well, and the problem with the NASCAR Monster demographic there is that NASCAR has to pull the reins back a little bit on some of what Monster
Would do.
would do because of the
Sure.
corporation stuff. And
Sure.
but your top concert that you've ever been to,
Yeah, okay, I've been asked that before.
or your dream concert.
Two good ones. Okay, so question number one, and I break my favorite concert down into a couple categories because it's really hard to put it into one. But I would tell you, from an audio standpoint, just a pure sound, probably Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
It was
I could see
it was
that.
pretty amazing. Yes, on the the zip code tour, the 901025 or whatever it was, that was pretty amazing.
We didn't
too.
make it to that one.
You didn't. You,
Yeah.
you weren't even alive.
We weren't there.
But that would have been
I
mid '80s.
Had to
mid
go to 4th grade the next
Yeah, you
day.
were busy that day coloring. But it was amazing sound too. Best music, just for the pure musicianship, the quality of the songs, I would give you two. The Eagles in Hell Freezes Over tour, because it was everybody and it was all their stuff. And the other one would be Elton John and Billy Joel in the Face to Face when they went out and played each
man.
other's music.
Yeah.
You didn't think I was going to go there.
I didn't
Wow.
think you were.
Okay,
No.
but you got to understand that's the quality. Those guys musically
Yeah.
off the charts,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
right?
A lot of
Now-
I have respect for any top musician
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Okay, so now the pure rock enjoyment of what you saw, just 2 hours of I'm checking out. That was amazing. Kiss anytime,
You
By
big
far.
Kiss
anytime.
fan.
It's like Kiss is like a big summertime blockbuster Avenger movie, right? You go in, you got your beer and your popcorn, and you just let it go. And for 2 hours, you just check out. You're laughing, you're singing everything. I mean, it's just crazy.
Did
I
you
mean,
paint
it's-
your face?
Would I? I
Did
would.
you? Did you?
I didn't.
Oh man.
But I got
I
half,
could see you.
But
with
I
the-
got half of Paul Stanley's guitar.
Oh, that's
badass.
cool.
Dude, it
when
was
he smashed
rad.
it.
It was right after he smashed it. So the story goes, it was the Kiss reunion tour, South Carolina, and I'm in the front row with Sam Bass, Lord rest his soul, and Jay Wells, who at the time was the PR guy for Skoll on the drag racing and the cup side. And we went, and we were dead center, front row, had the guys from Hootie and the Blowfish to our right, and we're right here. And dude, we just rocked out all night. Come to the end of the show, Paul breaks his guitar. He throws half of it over there. He gives piece of it to the drummer from Hootie and the Blowfish, and he leans right down and he gives me the other half.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, oh my God. Now I've got this piece of guitar and I'm holding it like this, and of course it was broken, so it had like a serrated edge. And this big guy comes over the backside of me and he's trying to rip it out of my hands. I'm like, you're gonna have to kill me. It's
Yeah.
not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But I'm going like
This
this
is
with him,
mine.
and it's slicing me open on both arms over here.
So
Right?
I don't even care.
So now I'm bleeding. I could care less. And we're done. The security guys come pull him off. We had backstage passes, so we go backstage, and I got all four original guys,
That's
sign
cool. That's
and
awesome.
that's hanging in the house.
I had
bad.
a lot of Sam's stories when he would love Kiss and all
Yeah.
those bands and stuff.
We had a lot of shared Kiss moments.
Yeah,
together.
I didn't even know you went with him until I was looking through your Instagram. I was creeping on your Instagram actually, and then
That's okay.
there was a picture of you guys, and then
Yep.
so instantly I text Denise, his wife, and I'm
Yep.
like, I need some good Ralph Sheheen stories.
She's got a lot of them.
and she said, "Oh, just start talking about Kiss, and he'll fill up all the time you want." So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Sam and I, Sam was one of the first people I met when I moved here in 1990. And to tell you how far back Sam and I went, I was reminiscing about this with Denise not that long ago. I got to know Sam when his studio was in a little office space, not much bigger than what we're in right here right now, above the Goodyear building at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Oh,
You guys
man.
are looking
Oh,
at
wow,
me
yeah.
because you didn't realize there was a Goodyear building
Yeah.
at Charlotte outside of the racetrack, right there on the corner of, what is that, 49 that goes right in front of the speed, 29.
I know.
Goes right
I know
in
what
front
you're
of the
talking
speedway.
about.
And the street that goes, Moorhead, that goes down.
Was it brick? Was it a brick
no,
building?
it wasn't
Okay,
a brick
I'm
building.
thinking of the wrong building.
But right across the street from
Okay.
the brick building on the other side,
Yeah.
right there, the top of the hill there, was a Goodyear tire building. And Sam had a little office up above it. And that's when I got to know him. None
That's
of which
cool.
exists anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, she
So-
said you guys moved all like the same time you kind of
Yeah,
came into
he came down from
motorsports.
Virginia, and I came here from California, and
That's cool to see each other's careers kind of take
yeah,
off and go.
and it was really cool to share a lot of that with him. And the rise up on two different paths, and there's a lot of people that came in and around that time period that all quote unquote made it or survived. Maybe is a better way of putting it.
survived.
It's
Yeah.
so cool to see that too, because nobody sees the Ralph Sheheen that lied his way into his first job, or
Yeah.
the Sam Bass. They just see what the end product was, and for you
Yeah.
guys to grow together, and especially in that late '80s, early '90s, through the big spike of the sport.
Yeah.
How many people had a hand in making it great, and I feel like, as I think the two most important people at a race or at a racetrack, or nowadays especially because they're getting fewer and further between, is the promoter and the announcer, because they're the ones that take the pen and put it to paper. So do you feel like with all that stuff, and that, do you feel like you have a big weight on your shoulders each time you put a headset on?
I don't know if I ever looked at it that way.
It is.
I
It
see
is
what you're
super
saying.
important.
What I feel important about is making sure the fan has a good time, gets the information that they want, and gets to feel like they're a part of it. I'm all about enthusiasm, right? Everybody's got their thing. Mike Joy is outstanding at telling you about the history and being solid and sturdy and bringing you exactly what you expect Mike to do. He's very good at what he does. One of the all-time best, right? That's his thing. Dick Berggren, when he and I worked together on pit road, Dick was the guy that knew all about the nuts and bolts of the race car. I never worried about that. Why would I try? Dick could build any one of those cars in his garage on his own. So I never worried about that. When I was on pit road, I worried about telling human interest stories. I'm going to talk to the driver and get something out of him or the crew chief that nobody else is going to get. Dick is going to tell you what went wrong with the car and how they're going to fix it. I'm going to tell you who this guy is and why you should care about him, right? So I think that's why we made a good team. We didn't step on each other's stories. We worked together well, and everybody brought something different to the show, which makes it overall entertaining.
Yeah.
Now in the play-by-play role, I look at it like racing's cool. I don't care what we're racing. It is cool. It's fun. These are really interesting stories that are going on here, who these people are, why they're here, and we're going to have a great time with this race. That's me. If I get excited about something going on, it's because I really am.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fake it. If I think the race is dull, I can't make it any better. This guy's up by 5 laps.
Yeah.
It is what it is, but I'm going to try to tell you something interesting about the guy so that you stick around to see him win it, because you should,
Yeah.
right? But if it gets going like a good Supercross or a sprint car race in Knoxville, I'm up on the rev limiter because I really am excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Then
a
I
good
want
race
you
to
to
watch. Yeah.
I want you to come in and go, hey, you should watch this. This is good. So maybe that's how I try to do my job, to carry the sport of racing and make it bigger, because I want other people to go, well, that was cool. I'm going to watch the next week too.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something that, like, when you watch Supercross, you keep it interesting. When you watch World Outlaws, their announcer, they could be single file, and he's keeping it interesting. And he's become so famous with the, you one of the best, you got, all
Johnny
that stuff.
Gibson,
And then
yeah.
John, and then Shane, upstate New York, and when Steve
Yeah,
posted,
a lot of races,
especially when we do the indoor stuff, and Shane would be there, you could see with the indoor stuff, since it's a stadium, much like you guys do at
Sure.
Supercross, you can see how much a true MC does to keep the crowd going. That's pretty much what you guys are doing.
Well, and I think everybody watches everybody else, and you don't want to copy that person, but you might say, well, I like how he does this, or I don't like how he does that. I'm going to take this and mold it my own way. So, maybe they think enthusiasm is good because of something they saw me do years ago. I don't know. I haven't asked them. But vice versa,
Yeah.
So I know I learned about storytelling, for example, from Dave Despain, from working with Dave for years. Dave's arguably the best ever at telling stories, the journalistic side of the story.
Every time like a remote comes on and it's his voice narrating the story, you're on it, like you're locked in already.
Yeah.
So like
Now, I'll never have a Despain-esque voice. Mine is, some people think it's, fingers on a chalkboard. But the one thing about it is it's different,
yeah,
right? I don't sound like anybody else.
Now you can tell it's
Good,
you.
bad, or indifferent. And what I usually get is a fan will come by and they'll say, I thought it was you. I wasn't sure it was you. And you open your mouth, I knew it was you.
then I knew.
And I'm like, yeah, my wife says the same thing. I didn't know who you were when you came in after being gone for a couple of weeks.
Another good thing you do on Supercross, I feel like every week when you tune in, you're very good at catering to that first time viewer of like breaking things down. I feel like like if I feel, I don't know, sometimes in NASCAR, especially with our new rules and all this stuff, it gets very jumbled. If someone's just tuning in, it's hard to follow almost. So
Well, I'm really glad to hear you say that, because a lot of the traditional core Supercross fans don't like that.
really,
They don't.
because they're like they're
We
been
already know
watching for years.
Kawasaki's are green.
Yeah,
Well, I know you do, but this new guy that just tuned in might not.
yeah,
And we need to capture that guy. And that really is broadcasting 101. Names, numbers, colors. Tell me who I'm watching, and then tell me why I'm watching him.
yeah.
Right? Or her. So, yeah, we do that a lot because Supercross is so fast moving. It's a knife fight. I mean, that 20-minute race goes boom, just like that. And just when you start telling a story about the guy in second place, all of a sudden he's back to fifth, and 3-4 guys jumped in front of him. I mean, it goes unbelievably quick.
Yeah, I can't
So
imagine.
it is really hard to figure out that pacing compared to, let's say, Talladega, where a lap might take 50 seconds,
Yeah.
and they're going to stay in that pack for 30 miles, and you can really take time to develop a story. Here you got to get in, get out, and get on to the next thing real quick. So we do work on that. And that was one of the things I learned years ago at CBS when we had the Daytona 500. Every year, even though CBS did it for 25 years, we would take the time in the pre-race show to explain what the draft is. And every year we would try to find a different way to do it, visually, graphically, whatever it might be, because that was going to be what the day was all about. And inevitably, at Daytona, you always had people who never watched another NASCAR race, maybe not another race, period, all year.
Yeah.
But they're going to be hearing about the draft.
Yep.
So what is it?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with Supercross. There might be a guy who's just channel surfing by on a Saturday night, and here we are this week in Denver, and what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
I got to tell him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I always thought it was just kind of filler time talking about the draft or, this guy doing whatever.
Mhm.
But then I'm like, well, no, if you got a guy channel surfing and just tunes in, they want to learn about what they're watching, and that's going to keep them going. And
Yeah.
maybe they're back next week and the week after that to learn more
Right.
or keep watching.
And I think you see that even with like the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah,
There are some parts of the pregame show that are a little bit more educational because they know people are watching the Super Bowl that haven't watched an NFL game all year.
Yeah.
But then once you get into the game or you switch over to Sports Center, then it becomes a little bit more niche, and you get a little deeper dive
yeah,
into the, X's and O's of the game.
yeah.
But you do a good job with it not being so. I think I listened to Junior's podcast last week with Steve Phelps on it,
Mm-hmm.
which I felt like that's one of the listening to that guy is one of the most important things that for NASCAR, the state of the sport is he's probably one of the most important guys right now.
Big time.
And the one thing that I like that he said and that you just touched on is he said we will never chase a new fan and expense for an existing fan.
No.
And that's where
can't do that.
that's where you guys do a great job of explaining the story for somebody that's not tapped in every week, but also not making it cringeworthy for a guy that's there that's in the know.
Yeah, I got to tell you, the Kawasaki is green and Eli Tomac's on the number 3. That gets the new guy comfortable. But then I got to tell the regular watcher something about what Eli did this week that might impact how he's performing today.
And that's what separates, I guess, good from great or elite, you know.
Well, and then where I'm really lucky is I got Ricky Carmichael sitting next to me.
Yeah, he's
won 5 of these championships.
Not a bad co-host, I know.
And, you know, Ricky can look at what any one of those riders is doing and telling you exactly why he's riding right or wrong.
Yeah. So you've seen every aspect of motorsports, and you've seen Supercross grow from something that was tape delayed to maybe right now setting the bar for live entertainment, especially on TV and experience.
Yeah.
What would you say to these other forms of racing that would kind of get them on that path, or what would you change in some aspects of different types of motorsports to get them on that path to follow Supercross to be a more premier, you know, they're selling out arenas and doing
stuff. So there are some things that Supercross has that others just won't.
They won't, yes.
Okay, and for example, the biggest thing is, think of the stadiums we're in.
Yeah.
We were in the Minnesota Vikings Stadium this year where they had the Super Bowl. And they just had the Final Four. We're in the Falcon Stadium, which had the Super Bowl and is going to have the Final Four next year. We're at the Cowboy Stadium. These are some of the most exquisite stadiums, sports venues in the world.
Yeah,
right?
Oh yeah.
NASCAR can't just go in and build that.
Yeah.
Supercross can't do that. We just go in and lease it for the weekend. We're just fortunate that's the venue we play in. That is a huge advantage for them at the live side of it, because it's very easy for mom and dad to go, hey, we can do this. Dad can go, hey, you know what? These guys are racing, like, you know, we're going to Denver, where the Broncos are at. Beautiful stadium. Easy to get in and out of. It's cost effective ticket price wise. The food's going to be good. The cost of the T-shirt's going to be good. Humpy Wheeler had 4 T's: traffic, trinkets, tickets, and toilets. And Supercross hits all 4.
Yeah.
Cost effective, easy in and out. You can get the kid a T-shirt or a hat. You can get them autographs on the riders at the Fan Fest. And mom's not going to feel weird. She doesn't have to go out to porta potty. You know, you go to these nice, clean bathrooms. The facilities are great. 70 degrees inside a dome stadium. How do you beat it?
Yeah. And you change your track every time you come back. You don't build. You don't have a brick and mortar.
And the TV show is easy to digest.
Yep.
It's a simple 3-hour show. It's very fun. You know, there's no downtime. The races are going like this.
Yeah.
It's not having to wait around for the final few laps. It's good from the get-go.
Yeah. I do like the. I know we're about to run out of time, and Daryl's going to yell at us, but I do like the Triple Crown the last 2-3 years.
I love
how long you've been doing it, because you get to see your guys, you know, that you paid for.
Yeah.
Go in there and you get to watch them race.
And that's what that was the thinking behind it, because there was a few races we would go to where the lap times were so fast that we'd chew up the laps in 15 minutes. Now you're guaranteed in that main event 20 minutes plus a lap. You're going to see Eli Tomac.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So we got to close here. Do you have any more barn
Always.
burners? Because I got a tough question.
No,
for him.
go for it. You can have it. So
Okay.
I opened. You can close it.
Ricky Carmichael or Jeremy McGrath, who's better? Who's
Who's
the real goat here?
Well, this is easy.
Now you work with Carmichael, so
it's
objective
easy.
here.
No, it's easy. At Supercross, and it's funny you bring that up because I've had people say that. Jeremy is the king of Supercross. 7 championships, 72 wins, no doubt. He is the king of Supercross. But when we call Ricky Carmichael the greatest of all time, it's not just about Supercross. He won 5 Supercross championships, and he's, second in overall wins? But he's the greatest in the overall genre of moto, which encompasses Supercross and motocross, indoors and outdoors. He won 15 championships. 2 seasons went undefeated in the outdoors. That's 24 motos, and he won all of them.
Cool.
2 years, plus 5 championships in Supercross. Sorry, Jeremy, you're not that guy.
Yeah.
But you are the king of Supercross with 7 titles, 72 wins, no doubt about it.
Done. That was easy.
Done.
Do you
It's
feel
easy.
like
That wasn't a barn burner. You gotta,
that's not easy. That's not as easy as he makes it look.
But people,
right?
but when I call Ricky the GOAT on air, people are like, yeah, he's not the greatest of all Supercross. No, you're right, he's not. But he is the GOAT.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
It's greatest of
Would
all
Villa
time.
would Villapoto have been as good if he didn't? Would he have gotten the titles?
He might have won a 5th Supercross championship, maybe even a 6th, who knows? But he's not going to be the greatest of all time because I don't see him getting those 15 overall championships and those 24 24 no moto seasons. James Stewart was, and Ricky and I have had a lot of conversations about this. Even Ricky will tell you, nobody has ever been faster, just plain out, incredible outright speed on a dirt bike than James Stewart.
Yeah.
The problem was James was win it or bin it.
That's it.
And how many times was he out front just killing everybody, and then something would just shut off and he'd go tumbling on down the racetrack?
Yeah.
You know?
That straight rhythm deal that they do.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh, he was so fast in that.
All
Yeah.
right.
I've never seen anybody faster.
All right, so we're here with these videos through the visor darkly,
Yeah.
and you've probably already seen all these videos because you're the biggest car guy in the world. So.
This one looks familiar. I think I've seen this one.
All right.
The guy in the shoebox over there is gonna.
I'm gonna play. Okay, here we go. All right, off the line here.
Yeah.
Already getting fishtailing.
Yeah, that's the other guy. Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, I didn't even see that coming. Oh yeah.
That was at Pikes Peak Raceway, if I'm not mistaken, out in Colorado.
Oh my gosh.
And
oh.
yeah, just not good.
He's out of the car. His
Yeah.
feet are out of
Did
the
they
car.
not have seatbelts?
Well,
in it?
there was a, if I remember correctly, I think he didn't have it on.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the story. The guy didn't have his seatbelt on, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to blast a guy if that was not the case or it broke.
He's gonna call in.
Yeah, he might.
One thing's for sure. Either he didn't have him on or he didn't have him secured right, or that's what I don't
Well, I
get.
think that was the deal, man. I think he was, tumbling around inside the cockpit.
He's lucky.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's
Okay,
gotta
we got a
gotta
little-
be that guy's baby too.
It
And
was.
Yeah.
I mean, beautiful car, right?
Just
It
rolled
was like
it.
a 56, 7, 55.
The wife's probably not happy after
No,
that, probably.
No,
All
she
right.
won't be when she gets the repair bill.
This doesn't even look like a race car, but it's got
Some rallying going on here.
got stickers on it, so
Ford
that's
Focus.
Well, stickers make it a race
that's
car, right?
horsepower, I guess, right? And we're going backwards. That's always
Never back up on a racetrack. Right?
not good.
Oh.
Dude.
let's just go with the fact that he had already gone off course. So the story I would go with if I was a driver was I had some damage to the steering. So when I tried to get going again, it just turned on its own and took me into the wall. Because at that point, you have broken the steering by hitting the cement
Yeah.
wall. Who's going to know if it was done before or after, right?
You could
feel
be a
like-
driver.
Play with
There's
that.
Some
You could be a
wildlife
driver.
out there. I hit a deer.
Is this Indy?
This is like IndyCar Pocono.
Did you commentate it? Pocono?
I've done IndyCars, but not this
Oh
one.
no, this is a road course.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh dude,
Portland.
this is
That's
me.
Portland, I think.
This is me at the GoPro Motorplex every time.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Portland.
Dude, they
IndyCar.
saved it though. That was impressive.
maybe.
Hold on, let's watch it. One more.
I dig IndyCar races now,
Yeah, that
especially
might be
since they went
Mid-Ohio.
to or is it Road America?
Oh,
No, it,
Just look at
that could be Mid-Ohio,
DeMello
where
just
it
keeps
Yes.
it
jumping
going.
over. Because of
oh
Honda.
Honda,
banners.
yeah, but that's by the Honda.
Honda banners.
I don't know. The bridge looks too new.
Not good.
That
Not
wasn't.
good.
That wasn't.
But it kept going. That's the good thing. If you
Yeah.
do that in an F1 car, you're coming in.
Probably.
on a wrecker.
Well, you got to come in for no speed.
All right, here we go.
More rallying.
Another rally cross with.
I used to do the WRC.
Did you?
World Rally Championship.
Oh, oh.
Okay, now
oh.
that one's a little harder. The only thing you can say there is I really trusted my co-driver, and he said 3 left, and the guy went left instead
Yeah.
of 3 right. I don't know.
It was a cross back. I got one more. Got one
Okay.
more here.
That's definitely a fail though.
It's for sure. Oh man, a lot of.
A little touring car racing. Looks like teammates going on here.
Oh, the whole left
Independent
rear.
rear suspension.
Yeah.
Where's the tire end up?
Some
kept
guy in the
bouncing.
pits just had put his tools down,
Hold on.
took
what
his
is
shirt off, and walked out because
did
he's
he
not
hit?
invited back
Hit.
after that. I don't think he hit anything, and they just came apart.
His teammates.
Looks
were
like
on
it just fell off.
Oh
See?
yeah. Oh my
I-
gosh. That thing
so
just
what I'm thinking
exploded.
is, whoever put on the left rear is no longer on the team.
Yeah, probably.
I
Definitely.
just like to put out there that I'm a front tire changer.
Front tire.
So that's,
Yeah,
Well,
so
there's
it
a-
wasn't
Or-
your-
There's an opening for a left rear guy over here.
I'm sticking to the front.
Wow, that's kind of rough.
You commentated as the best out of anyone, actually. Yeah, it's like you knew how to do it. So.
Well, people ask me how do you do it, and I tell them I don't know. How do you paint what you paint. I couldn't do what you do.
I just close my eyes.
It just comes to you, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. I couldn't go over the wall and do it the way you do. Everybody, if you're fortunate, I guess finds your niche, and you take the God-given talent, and hopefully you're able to evolve it and morph it and work on it and polish it, and maybe you get lucky and make a career out of it.
Any advice for like a younger person, like say like
Yes.
a Brandon McReynolds that's
Yep.
doing
Yeah, and I've worked with Brandon,
the
and Brandon
voiceovers?
and Brandon does a really good job when we work on the K&N stuff together. And I get asked that a lot. You know, it's like, what should I do? And I tell people, go call something you're not going to make a career out of calling.
Yeah.
Perfect example. When I was younger and I was PA announcing, I would do Speedway motorcycles on Friday night in Auburn, California. I did NASCAR short track weekly racing Saturday nights at All America Raceway in Roseville, California. And then Sundays, I would do whatever was going on, whether it was Hangtown Motocross or SCCA at Sonoma Raceway. Then on Monday, this is the key, I did ladies' fashion shows at a restaurant bar.
Perfect.
And the cool thing was I had 4 paying gigs every week, but those ladies' fashion shows is where I learned to be able to talk about stuff I had no idea what I was talking about when I had to fill dead air.
That's smart, actually.
And that comes into play like this past weekend in Nashville. We had a 20-minute red flag period in the middle of that Supercross race because we had 2 injured riders on the track. What do you talk about? Now, part of it I have to rely on the producer to guide me, direct me, put whatever in there. But a lot of it I've got to keep it interesting and make it keep going while he's trying to figure out what he can utilize next. So I tell guys, hey, look, you want to do racing? Great. Go call a baseball game.
Yeah.
Go call volleyball. Go do lacrosse, whatever. Because you're not going to know it, but it's going to help you when some guy knocks the fence down and you've got to fill 3 hours while they repair it.
Yeah.
And you see it all the time.
Smart. I just wanted to see if Brandon McReynolds is any good. That's why.
Brandon's good.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of potential. He knows stock car racing really, really well.
Yeah.
Right? So now, Brandon, go do gymnastics.
Yeah,
which
he
I've
should.
done because that's going to teach you how to get through when the guy knocks the wall down.
Smart. I never would have even thought about that. So I've learned a lot today. I appreciate
Well,
it.
but like, if you want to paint helmets, right? Go learn how to paint scenery.
Yeah.
Because something you learn about the technique of doing that, somewhere down the road, somebody's going to say, hey, man, I want a forest on my helmet. And if you worked at scenery somewhere down the road, you might figure out how to do it.
I painted T-shirts for tourists at a theme park. That's how I got decent way before helmets. So
But there you go.
yeah,
You learn how to do it quick and do fast
you just gotta
and
get
a
it.
variety.
Yep, get it in your hand and do your craft. So all right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming in again, man.
No,
I
dude, I
really
loved
appreciate it, buddy.
Appreciate it. Anytime.
Thank
Free
you.
life
Happy to do
advice too.
Yeah, free life. Yeah, it was
Heck yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Speedsport.com.
See, oh yeah, visit speedsport.com
Yeah.
and we'll
Check it all out there.
We'll see you next week.
Okay.